Adoption Warriors. I hope I'm finding everybody well today. And today we're going to talk about my story. We're going to talk about my experience. And 'cause I know a lot of times I tell you guys, I understand, I understand. Today I want to explain to you why it is that I understand and a little bit of my story. And throughout upcoming podcast, I'll give a little bit more and more details about my story and about my adoption and my foster home experience. So, I would say back in 19, I was born in 1985 to a family in Victoria, Texas. So I've always true. Texas has always been true to me, true to my heart as my home or my homeland state. Um, so I was born in Victoria, and I had three older siblings. That was Of course, they were older, a few years older than me. I think we stepped every 2 years. Were a little bit. One is older than the other, and so as far as back in my memory, that I'm doing this as the best I can in my memory. At that age is one, two, and three, up to adoption. Um, we were placed in different foster homes, all the way up to 3 years of age. Me and my uh, next oldest brother was always paired together into foster homes, and the two older ones was always paired into another foster home together. So they was kept us together as far as in twos, but not in a total of all four. And I imagine it's can be very difficult and very hard to find a family that would be willing to take four children at a time. And so I think that, to my understanding, that was the struggle they had and why they kept us at two pairs. Um, so I do roughly. I remember some of my foster home memories maybe up of course to the last ones that we had. I remember being a kid doing different activities, being in a foster home. Um, and then to give a little bit of background of my adopted family, um, they are from the state of Arkansas, and they are Mennonite, and they are Mennonite still. And always people are like, oh, what's Mennonite? So I always relate to them as they can be compared to Amish, but just but a tad different. So that's the biggest way that I can relate to people when they ask me, "Oh, what's Mennonite?" So so I tell them about the lifestyle, and I'll tell you a little bit about it now. And so there was a family from Arkansas that found interest in adopting all four of us kids, which is a big thing, like I stated before, of adopting, having four kids all at once. So to jump around a little bit here, when you come into adopting and a foster kid, you always want to make sure that you don't bite off more than you could chew. And not saying they did that. They did a fabulous job. But it is a lot. I mean, I could only imagine as I'm preparing my house and my household for foster kids. Even two, I'm like, wow, that's a lot. That's a big responsibility. Big responsibility. So my hats off to them for accepting us four at the same time, which is a huge responsibility and to take on. So I remember them coming to Victoria and visiting us, and because they always do that when you get ready to foster or adopt kids. They want to do kind of like a meet and greet, so we can see them, they can see us, we can see if the chemistry there or the vibe is there, so to speak. So I roughly remember them coming and visiting us in a hotel as a family gathering, introducing themselves and the state introducing us to them. And so, as a foster kid today, going through that kind of stuff, I understand and I experience that first meet and that first greeting of possibly your new home, or your new foster home, however you want to, however it's laid out. And obviously, it seemed to gone well. The state allowed them. I believe we went to them as a foster kids, and I'm sure my mom will correct me on this if she when she listens to the podcast if I'm wrong, if I'm wrong. But uh, I remember briefly that when we got ready to go to our new home in Arkansas, I remember sitting in the airport with my siblings, getting ready to go to the new home, getting ready to experience a new family, a new place to live, and a new family. And that's about all I really remember, that little blotched area. But at that time, I was only 3 years old. So uh, it's really, I guess I remember pieces here and there. But I remember that sitting there in the airport waiting and wondering what's next, what's going to happen next. So we shouldn't discredit little kids that are 2, 3 years old. Like, oh, they're young, they don't remember. Um, Believe me, they remember, and it's something that they can carry on through the whole childhood, adult life. They can take it to the till they're no longer here. Things like that, we remember, especially stuff that's very personable. It really hits home to us. So as we were going to our new home, we were meeting the other children because they have also adopted uh, 7 more kids before us, 6 or 7. I haven't done my math, but it's 6 or 7 that they have already adopted before us. So we were coming into a home that has already opened up to other foster kids that they have adopted. And so we were coming into this large family, a large new family that we were experiencing. I'm sure my older siblings can tell you a lot more than I can. I'm just going off of what I can remember. And I remember that they were got the adoption finalized. I remember us signing the papers. I remember being excited. Um, some moments like that is something that will be carried on forever. Um, so as we were growing older, as we were becoming growing into the family. I remember certain things that would take place of us going out, doing things together, being outside, doing very much involved in the church. Um, Considering the family is Mennonite. Um, One of the things that throws people off is that we grew up with no TV, really no radios. And so when you tell people like that, when you tell people that, like, wow, what a different lifestyle, and it is a different lifestyle. Um, and there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes I think it's in the best interest of the child, the foster child, or the adopted kid to experience something major outside of what they're used to either hopefully calms them down, brings them security, makes them feel safe, especially a large family, a large traditional family. Um, I remember doing so many activities and stuff with my brothers and sisters. And when it comes to that, a lot of people have like to use titles, or that's my adopted brothers and sisters, and that's uh, my half sister or half brother. For me personally, and that's for me personally, that all my brothers and sisters are my brothers and sisters. And I think it brings a closeness to the family, brings unity to the family. Versus, yes, this is my adopted brother, this is my adopted sister, or so on, so on. And just for me personally, it's just that's my brother. That's who I grew up with. That's who I raised up with. Um, the same thing it goes with the parents, adopted parents. That's your parents. That's who took care of you. That's your mother and your father, your mom, your dad. And I know that could change if the parent is old, if the child is older, 10, 11, 12, and so on. It may adjust. I'm just speaking on my experience that, my mom is all that I know that is my mom. Same as my dad. That is my dad. That's all that I know, and that's who he will always be to me. So build them in relationships with your kids. The kids build a relationship with the parents. These are relationships that will last forever. Whatever may be where your parent wasn't there for you the whole time, or whatever the situation is that you ended up into the foster system. Um, Not to take away, but you have a new life, a new opportunity, a new family, to embrace it, uh, and to get comfortable with, build those security relationships with them. That is your family. And I know that make it sound like it's a dream world, a dream life. Not all the time is it like that. As far as not every adoption is perfect, and I feel for the ones that aren't perfect. And that's something we can talk about later. Not titled not perfect adoption. Um, but for me, as we grew older, I believe that growing up to a large traditional family, it carried into my adulthood, where it came to where I can understand adoption kids and foster kids. And it's a reason that I can even do this podcast, is because I understand and I feel for the ones that have come to the system, foster system, adoption system. Um, and my heart goes out to them daily on this. So also, and try to build this into my daughter, where she, oh, I'm excited about possibly getting a brother and a sister, and I let her know about my story, and let her know, um, how the adoption and foster system works. So there's an understanding there. And that's what all this podcast is about, is just bringing awareness to adoption and foster homes, the system. Uh, there's so much that goes into play into one adoption or foster home. Sometimes I believe that even that once you're adopted, they come and check up on you, maybe for the first year or two, as a probation matter, just to make sure everything's settled in, is smooth, the family's getting along, there's no issues and stuff like that. Now, I may I may have remembered them doing that once with us after we were adopted into the family, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But I do remember them checking up on us, and I'm pretty sure it was after we was adopted already. So, so as we grow older, these challenges and these challenges come to us as an adult. We carry it into an adult. We want to make sure we kind of get that figured out. And get ready to raise our own family. Open our homes to adoption and foster homes. There's so many kids out there that aren't that are waiting and waiting and waiting for foster homes and adoption homes. So as a person comes out of that, and I hope that I pray that they carry it on to their lives and to their homes and to their kids. And each time we do a podcast, or later on, I'll give you more and more of my story and my experiences. Um, a lot of people say, did you get a chance to meet your biological mom that gave you up, was allowed it to be you to be in the system? I said, yes, I did. And I'll tell you more about that as we go in to the next podcast down the road. And we'll continue to unfold the story. And but I hope that when you see a child in need, that you're there to help them, comfort them. You may not be able to help them personally, but the things that you do that they don't see, believe me, they appreciate that. They love the person on the other side that is doing that. It makes their day. It makes them excited. Um, It's very welcoming. That they makes them feel secure and safe. So always, as I say, don't be a stranger to a child in need. I will see you next time.
I can't outrun your